What's up guys, today I'm going to be going over what is possibly the best Warlock build in Season of the Dawn, and making a video about my favorite / best build for Warlock has kind of become a tradition on this channel, and I spent the last few weeks messing around with all the new stuff, all the new exotics, all the new weapons, all the new mods and everything like that, and I finally decided what is the best and most fun Warlock build this season. So let's go ahead and get started. It's going to be on top tree Dawnblade with the new reworked path, and there's going to be a few reasons we're going to be using this path compared to the other two. One being the new ranged melee attack, which is very good and very fun to use, and also on top tree when you're in the air, getting airborne kills recharges your melee ability, which means we'll be able to get this ability very often. And that leads me to the first mod we're going to be using in this build, Solar Plexus, which is an increased damage for all solar melee abilities. And this is going to be a 50% increase to any solar melee ability, which takes his already very strong ranged melee attack and makes it even stronger. And the exotic we're going to be using in this build is going to be some bracers, which is going to increase the duration of solar grenades. Then also solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. And the melee attack on top tree Dawnblade actually procs this perk from range. And when you do that, you get some bracers ready for 5 seconds. Then anytime you throw a grenade within that 5 seconds, it then begins to perk some bracers, which allows you to throw nades constantly for 5 seconds, which results in being able to throw 5 grenades per melee use. Pair this with a few of the perks on the top tree Dawnblade, for example Heat Rises, where you can consume your grenade energy to extend glide time and improve in-air accuracy. Then, like we mentioned before, when you're in the air, you recharge your melee ability, so what you can do is just consume your grenade, be able to float forever, use your melee, and just throw nades over and over again, and every single nade kill will recharge the melee, so you can do this pretty much forever, and never touch the ground ever again if you don't want to. Every single kill resets the Heat Rises perk and extends the duration of it. So far in this build we have unlimited melees and unlimited grenades, but the next few things we're going to add to this build is what really takes it to the next level and makes it absolutely insane. So now we're going to start adding in Season of the Dawn mods. First one being Heal Thyself. While Charged with Light, Grenade Final Blows heal you and consume 1 stack of Charged with Light. And since we're using a Charged with Light mod, we also need another mod that allows us to become Charged with Light. So what we're going to be using is Blast Radius. Become Charged with Light by rapidly defeating multiple enemies with grenade launchers or rocket launchers. And we're going to pair this with a Martyr's Retribution with Demolitionist. Then on top of that, another mod we can use, which will help greatly, will be this one right here, Stacks on Stacks. Gaining an extra stack of Charge of Light for every stack you gain. So we just added a lot of new stuff to this build, so let's start breaking down some of those pieces individually. The first thing is when we get a double kill with our grenade launcher, we get Charged with Light ×2 because of the fact that we get 2 stacks for every 1 stack we would normally gain. And when we are Charged with Light, every single grenade final blow will heal us and consume 1 stack of Charged with Light. Then finally we have Demolitionist on our grenade launcher, that way we can reload by throwing our grenade and never actually have to reload ourselves. Another very strong mod that you can use is High Energy Fire, which is going to be while Charged with Light, gain a bonus to weapon damage. Each enemy defeated consumes 1 stack of Charged with Light, and you can use this in place of Heal Thyself, depending on what you're doing, if you need health or you just want extra damage. And how this mod works is when you're not Charged with Light, nothing is going on special, but when you become Charged with Light, you pretty much have a 20% buff forever until you get kills, and every single kill will remove 1 stack of Charged with Light. And once you hit 0 stacks of Charged with Light, you no longer have that 20% buff. And a final artifact mod that is kind of optional for this build is Molten Overload, where solar grenades will cause disruption. And disruption isn't like too crazy, but pretty much what it does is it, in a way, it suppresses enemies. And what I mean by that is it pretty much reduces their damage, then also increases their ability recharge time, which is kind of confusing for different enemies in the game. But think about it like this. Let's say each enemy has abilities just like we would, for example, a melee or a grenade, and those abilities are on a cooldown timer. For example, Greg can shoot at me once every 3-ish seconds, but if he is disrupted, maybe it goes up to 5 or 6 seconds. And that is pretty much what each solar grenade will be doing if you put that mod on. So now that we've put everything together, pretty much what you do is consume your grenade to be able to float forever. You get a melee kill to proc some bracers, then you use those grenades and your Martyr's Retribution with Demolitionist to pretty much never have to reload, get all kinds of grenade kills, get your melee back, and rinse and repeat over and over again. So I'm just going to go over my character really quickly just to show off what I have in every single armor piece. And all these pieces are almost like a puzzle that you can put into any slot except for the artifact mods. So where you individually put all these different perks might be in different slots than me. And it's very important to note that there's a lot going on in this build, but you don't need every single piece for it to be very good and very fun. Not only do you need the new mods, you also need new armor pieces with the right element to slot those mods into it. This is definitely a build that will be a project for you guys over time if you want to do it. You can start off with just the small stuff. You can use top tree Dawnblade with some bracers and that build will be very strong and very fun. Then over time you can kind of go for these other mods and perks and add them to the build over time and it'll just keep getting better and better. So don't be afraid to give this build a try because there's too much going on. You can start with just a few pieces and add to it over time, and it'll just keep getting better. Anyways, this build is one of the strongest builds I've ever made, and at the same time one of the most fun. You're just floating in the middle of everything, just shooting thermite grenade launchers, throwing endless grenades, you know, using a really strong melee ability, and next thing you know, everything's dead. And another thing that's really cool about this build is that you get charged with light very easily and very often, and you can kind of do whatever you want with that charge with light. I showed off the healing with the grenade final blows, and also the increased damage while being charged with light. Both of those are very solid options, but you can really do anything you want with that charge of light. As long as you have the blast radius mod, and then also the stacks on stacks mod, you pretty much will be charged with light forever in this build. You pretty much gain stacks as quick as you'll be able to use them, so you can really adapt this build to whatever you want to do with them. Anyways, I think that's all I want to say about this build. It's very complicated, but at the same time it's definitely worth trying to get all these mods and putting all these pieces together. Anyways, the rest of the video will just be a bunch of strike gameplay showing off how this build works in different situations. And I was actually enjoying myself using high energy fire a lot more than the healing grenade mod, simply because I was just getting a lot more use out of it compared to the healing where I was pretty much sitting on charge with light ×2 the entire time and not actually ever using it. But like I said multiple times, depending on what you're doing, you might want to use something else. Anyways, let me know what you think about this build. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.